Okay, this update is mostly for Virginia. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce your second name, sorry. So I was reading your comment and I didn't just want to write back to it. I wanted to try to, I guess, answer, referring to my phone for your comment. I guess I wanted to cover, it took me a while even to work out if you were further down the line than me, and based on your dates, you're not. So you had surgery 2015, finished chemo in 2016, and you're now having problems with pain in your hands and your feet. I did get this, I do get this anyway, with the neuropathy, but also had myalgia on and off, and still get it today. It can be a couple of months without it, and then I can get it for a couple of weeks straight, where literally every bone and muscle just hurts, just because it exists. Told this is kind of after effects of chemo, or I really can't remember while I was on chemo if I had any specific myalgia that was unbearable. But I have had it a few times since, even where my fingers hurt. I won't have done anything and my shoulders or my neck will hurt. This is not like neuropathy. You can notice a difference. You just kind of, like the way I've experienced it, I've just woke up and everything hurts. And it'll stay that way for a couple of weeks and then it'll just disappear. I know a lot of people in general in the world, not know them personally, that suffer with myalgia, whether it's fibro or something else, on a day-to-day basis, and I do not know how they cope, because to be so aware of every single part of your body just because it hurts, that's got to be pretty disheartening. So yeah, sorry, just rereading your thing. So hands and feet. So I do have pain in my hands and feet. I gotta say, I'm further down the line than you, and if I'm a baseline, because I know everybody's journey and everybody's journey with recovery also, not just cancer, but cancer recovery, is different. But if I'm any kind of baseline, the neuropathy that you're experiencing right now will get better. But it's the level of damage, your chemo might have been stronger than mine, it might have been slightly different than mine, so it's still a little bit of guesswork, but mine was just so painfully noticeable, the change, the difference, and then, I don't know if it got better or I just got used to it. What I do feel mostly, is still pain, but I kind of have trained myself to not think of it as pain, but more like this is just how my hands work now. So it's like feeling through very thick gloves or multiple pairs of gloves, but then still what I do feel is still just pain. So if I pick something up, it's not just I feel like I'm picking that up wearing 5 pairs of gloves. It's like I'm picking that up wearing 5 pairs of gloves, and every inch of my hand that it's touching is pain. But I don't know, I've just sort of trained myself to go there's more pain, there's bigger pain in your body than your hands and your feet. My feet I still struggle with probably more than my hands, because in my head I'll want to do more on the treadmill than my feet will let me. Even down to when I was away just recently, I wanted to take a walk to the local supermarket, a convenience store, and I managed it there and back, and I took my shoes off the minute I got in. I took a photo, and I still have the photo. Whether it's decent or not, whether you can see what I'm on about or not, is questionable. See if I can actually get it. Stupid phone. But okay, I'm not going to be able to get it holding that as well. my tablet's not playing games. Sorry, it's playing games, not playing ball today. So, get rid of that, make it small. Hello. 1 second. Okay, so I found it, and it literally just looks like a dirty foot from here, I guess, which my foot actually wasn't dirty. It's literally just, that is the red marking I get on my feet when my feet are throbbing from the neuropathy. Tongue-tied. And it's not the best picture, but the saying goes is I took the picture of both of my feet. I really don't want my phone to be, yeah, did I just zoom in? Yeah, so there's both of my feet, and again, they just kind of look grubby, but they're not. Promise you, had a bath that very morning, took a walk, felt the pain in my feet halfway to my destination, but wanted to try to push myself and my feet, because I sort of figure, like, if I don't push it and I just bow down all the time, how does it ever get any better? So I didn't have the option of getting a lift back anyway. I could have gone and sat for like 10-20 minutes somewhere and then just walked back and sort of gave up what I was trying to do, and just gone home, but that's kind of not me. I try to push myself all the time. So my hands I deal better with. They do go red, as I said in my last video, when I move stuff and lift heavy things and when they're tender. But I do have Raynaud's as well, so sometimes the colour discoloration, whether it's blue or white, is down to the Raynaud's. The red, not so much. That's more of a pressure thing and a neuropathy thing, I guess. So back to the start. I finished my chemo in April 2015, and it wasn't until about 3 weeks later, I think, that the neuropathy sort of like just literally, not overnight, but I guess it felt like overnight, to where my hands felt fine, felt normal, and then it was like, boom, this is what they were talking about. This doesn't feel normal, this hurts. Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing to have. There are a few reasons you'll get it. Chemo is one, because it eats the myelin sheath, whatever, around your nerve, and depending on how much it attacks it is how much damage it will do, so everybody's different. They told me to look out for it during chemo, but I would get it like 1 or 2 times after the initial chemo, a couple of days later, and then it would go, but it would only be like, I don't know, minutes, and then I'd stop noticing it, or it would go, just this weird buzzy feeling in my hand. I didn't get it so much on my feet, except to say that when I was sick before chemotherapy, because my tumor was on the right side of my body, my right leg occasionally would shake and stuff at bus stops and things like that, and it would make me stress and make me cry, because I knew I wasn't doing that. It wasn't under my control. It was something in my body making my leg shake. So I can recall lying on my bed, and I've got this feeling again lately, not that I think I'm sick or anything, so I don't know why I have it, and I also did never identify what it was. But in my foot, I'd be lying with my legs straight in my bed after my surgery at home, and the only way I can describe it is like, you know, when you put your hand on a DVD player and you can feel the disc spinning. My foot would literally feel like, and I'd describe it like that, I'd be like, my foot feels like a DVD player, and I'd get a lot of like, what do you mean kind of looks. So yeah, it's been doing it again lately, and this was pre-chemo, so can't be neuropathy, but again, it was in the leg and is in the leg that apparently I have a lymphedema in, so maybe it's to do with that, I don't know. So yeah, the neuropathy, when you initially get it, it's like the worst thing, and at the forefront of your mind and nothing feels worse, and then it either eases off or you get used to it a little bit. Not everybody's eases off, that was my point before I went off on a tangent. Mine still is painful and bugs me, causes issues. I misgrab things a lot, I drop things a lot, but I do know it can be worse because it was worse when I initially got it, so I'm kind of grateful with the level I'm at, and if it could get any better, that'd be great too. So yeah, I think everybody's gets better, or at least we learn to live with it, or like accept where we're at with that. I'm going off on one and I've spotted something on my hand that I want to bite, so I'm just gonna like move on. So pain in hands and feet done. I think I do mention it in my videos about my bowel problems. Like, it says you don't mention if this is a problem you have also, but the problems I have with my bowels, I probably haven't gone into too much detail because it's quite private and embarrassing, I guess. The whole, like, I always, like, got told when I was sick, like, it's like, oh, you have, like, an old man's disease, which is a terrible stereotype, but that's what bowel cancer is considered, and still I get told every day if I'm telling my story to a stranger, it's like, oh, you're so young, and I just want to slap every one of them that says that. Because there are kids out there with cancer, so really not too young. I was in my 20s when I got it, I'm now 30, so, but I just wanted to make clear, because I don't know if I've made it clear in my last few videos, I'm currently cancer-free, doing well, so most of my videos basically are just on my journey afterwards, now at this point. In my first 2 videos I was sick. And I think every video after that I've been okay, I think. So bowel problems. After my surgery, when I was still on the ward, I didn't go to the toilet for a couple of days. And then I got told that my bowel was asleep, called an ileus. And I panicked because I didn't know what that meant. Wi-Fi on the ward wasn't great, so I couldn't look it up. So I was kind of just going off what they were telling me. It basically means that because my bowel was touched during the operation, like, because it was held, it goes into shock because it's not used to being held. And that shock just means that instead of doing the peristalsis that it does every day, without you knowing about it, it stops. Which is why I hadn't gone to the toilet, I think. But part of it, I want to say, was probably fear, I guess. I wasn't not intentionally going to the toilet, but a lot of me is like, okay, so half my bowel's gone, my belly's stitched together, I don't want to go to the toilet. I also wasn't really eating very much. I was on IV, so my urine output was fine, but as for my bowel movements, I didn't go for like 5 days, I think, on my first operation. And then on my second operation, I want to say it was longer, but for whatever reason it didn't seem to be a problem to them because I didn't develop an ileus this time. So the initial going to the toilet after resection of bowel surgery is scary. I forget if it was the first time or not that I went, but like a good few of the times that I went, I was grateful for the rails on either side of the toilet, because the minute you like go, it literally felt like the toilet wanted to suck you down, and it was nothing to do with the toilet. A lot of it was to do with the air that they pump inside you when they're operating, and probably things that I don't even know about, but literally it would just feel like the toilet wanted to grab me every time I went. It was scary. That gets better, but there are a lot of people out there, and I've read people worse than me, like not worse in terms of cancer, but worse in terms of after effects, that they go into the toilet like 30, 50 something times a day. On a good day, I probably go between say 7 and 11 times, and yes, all for bowel movements. And that's on a good, active, normal eating day. If I, for whatever, say I'm sick and I don't eat too much, I probably go about 7 times. And then on a bad day, I struggle to leave the house to do anything without taking loperamide, because I'm probably going about 20 to 30 times. And yeah, again, every time is for bowel movement. The only thing I'm struggling to do, and I've said this before, instead of eating 3 big meals a day, so like, not that breakfast is big, but 3 meals a day, you're supposed to eat 5 smaller ones. I haven't managed to do that yet, so when I have complete meals like spag bol or a roast, I will go to the toilet before I'm even done with the meal. And then I will probably go a further 4 times because of the meal. I don't really know what to say about that. It's not a good feeling. I used to look forward to those kind of meals, and now I'm just like, oh, that means I'm gonna like be on the toilet the majority of the night. Yay. So yeah, I want to do the 5 meals a day thing to see if that makes a difference. I think it will make a difference. It's just implementing it and trying not to be fussy and out of sync with everybody else's eating habits. When there are a few people in the family, it's hard to like eat at different times, I guess. So yeah, the bowel thing, it's each to your own. I have had blood in my bowel movements since being sick. Only one of them to the point where I was actually worried about it. That was last year in June. I took a flight, a 12 or so hour flight, I guess. 9-hour flight. And 2 days later, I went to the toilet and there was like blood, like red blood. I say red because my initial bleed was actually like purple, and it was just like blood clots, and it was only that, like, not to be gross, but it had gone down the toilet from where it landed, and you could just see red. But what I was actually looking at was like purple, so that means that it's high up and it's old blood. Red like pink means that it's low down and it's fresh, or like, so basically you probably just like overstrained or something when you went to the toilet. But this blood last year was like from a cut. It was deep red, dark red, and there was quite a lot of it, so it made me worry. Had a scan when I got back, and everything was fine, and they said that it was weirdly probably just something to do with flying. So I expected it again this time, but I didn't have it, so I don't know. It's scary the amount of people that don't check, I will say. When you go to the toilet, like, you should always be wiping until it's all gone, so you don't see anything on the paper. So how people are not looking, I don't know. But I've met so many people that are like, I just like wipe and flush it, I don't even look, and I'm like, okay. You know, even when people blow their nose, like, I always hear people saying, like, oh, it's really annoying when people blow their nose and then look in the tissue. The way I have my tissue, I blow my nose and then I open it back up, not to look at it, but to fold it over so that I could use it again. But at the same time, if you spot blood in there, or maybe you've been working somewhere dusty so there's black bits, at least you know that now it's out your body, or I don't know what your body's trying to get rid of, I guess. I just find it odd that people aren't looking. I was never obsessive about it, but I couldn't have missed my initial bleed that lasted for like 4 days. So check, but at the same time, don't panic about like a little bit of fresh blood, probably just like you overstrained. So yeah, that's about all I got to say on bowel movements, because I don't know what else there is to say. Mine have never gone back to normal. I've had the odd one that's normal, but on a whole, they're generally missing a part of my digestive tract because half my bowel's gone, so they're generally yellow and loose, I guess is what I could say. They tend to hurt, like there's a lot of acid, so it's hot usually. So most bowel cancer patients want to get familiar with pseudocreme or baby wipes, definitely. Not all the time, just some of the time. Right, so I did mention that now. And you mentioned that sometimes you're feeling... Yeah, the chemo definitely, I mean, obviously at the time, no, and you wouldn't have to go through it again, but it does feel like post-chemo, the side effects, the chemo itself was easier to do, because you just took the tablets, felt like crap, took the IV, felt like crap, struggled to sleep. I think it's one of those, like, when you look back on things, you forget some of the bad things. Like, do I really want, instead of having the odd tongue-tied moment, do I really want my skull to be on fire all the time? And for these little cuts to develop on my head? No. Do I want to gag every time I eat food? Or throw up every time I eat food? No. But those are the days you forget, I guess. I don't know, some of the side effects are rough. I did go to my neurology appointment with Walton Neurological, and the doctor there said that my loss of taste, I was going to say lack of taste then, my loss of taste is probably down to delayed chemo effects, is what he said. I'll take that. Okay. But he also told me that chemo brain is not a thing, and it doesn't exist, and that my memory problems are probably down to the fact that I suffer with depression, which I just got irritated about because I've suffered with depression for many, many years, and always had a good memory during that. But then you throw chemo at the thing, the party, if you like, and all of a sudden my memory's rubbish, my recall's rubbish. So I don't buy that it's a depression thing. It's also the first time I've heard people say, I don't know why my phone is not playing ball. It's also the first time I've heard people say that depression is linked to poor memory. So sorry, I'm fully aware that we're on like 23 minutes. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I often say that, like, so the chemo is easier than the recovery, also, but you do say to yourself sometimes, but at least I don't have cancer. That's true. Things could be worse. Which is why I try not to moan so much, but I do want to know if these things go away. On you saying about typing the message hurts your fingers, good days and bad days. So yeah, I do have time when the pain is better, the general pain, not just the neuropathy, but like I get a lot of pulling from my scar. I get I've got like bowel pain at the minute, which I'm going to the doctors about tomorrow because it's on the other side. So I'm like, slight paranoia. There's a lot of pain in general, like the fibro comes and goes, the myalgia, not fibro. Taste apparently is come and gone, because apparently I've been to the doctors a few times for that, and I didn't remember that I had been. So yeah, there are good days and bad days with every single thing that's going on. I still get little cuts in my hair all the time. I say all the time. Not as often as I used to. Probably once a month or twice a month at least. And just the big thing is not to mess with them, but I find that so hard to not do. What you were saying about typing the message, when I was on chemo, my phone felt so weird in my hands that I wouldn't even communicate with my friends or my family. I'd type the odd message, they'd be like, how are you, expecting a big thing back, and I'd be like, fine, or eh. My phone itself felt so weird in my hand, and then actually texting, it was painful, but it more just felt so weird to hold this foreign object in my hand that it was just too much. I couldn't comprehend it in my brain. I do have a friend at the minute who's she's just finished her chemo, and to be fair, she's been talking to me her whole treatment. But hers wasn't for bowel cancer, so I guess that could be a part of it. Maybe hers doesn't affect the myelin sheath around the nerve. I don't know. Mine definitely had an issue, felt weird, so on my weeks off is where I could catch up with people because it wouldn't feel weird on my hands to be texting. But when I was on chemo, if you didn't come and see me, you probably wouldn't hear from me. So yeah, you say that it comes and goes. It kind of does come and go, and it sounds so stupid to say that, but that's how it goes. Sometimes it's worse if you're using your hands more or less. Then it's gonna be worse. But also, just like the myalgia, it comes and it goes. So I'm doing good. So just would like to know how you're doing. So yeah, so far you're the only one that's really messaged me to do with anything, which is why I'm messaging back, via this video, kind of messaging back. So nobody as yet has let me know. I think everybody's individual, and I think by documenting things in videos like this, like we all do, is helpful to each other to some degree. Hate that. Sorry, I say way too much. It's only when I'm nervous or don't know what to say. My anxiety. So everybody's journey is individual, and it helps to some degree to know what everybody else is going through, but at the same time, if you didn't take the same chemical mixture, then you're gonna have different outcomes. So but Virginia, I wish you the best, and I would say that you have a lot more good days and bad days to come. The bad days, they do drag, but the good days, they are on their way. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying clear. All the best. Thanks for watching.